So first and foremost, what I want you guys to realize is that this is written in the vertex form. Now, we call it the vertex form because we know what the vertex is. Now, the vertex is what we call like the peak or the valley. That's kind of the student way of thinking of it. But actually, it's the maximum y value or the minimum y value of the quadratic. Remember that when we graph a quadratic on the xy plane, it usually looks like this. This is the basic shape of the quadratic. That's the parent function of quadratics, which would be like f of x is equal to x squared. Now, for the vertex form looks like this. We could say g of x is equal to a times the quantity x minus h plus k, where h and k are the vertex. So I know just by looking at this equation what the vertex is. In other words, the vertex is the opposite of the number inside the parentheses. So I've got a plus 1 here, so it'd be negative 1, and then I have a minus 4 over here, minus 4. In other words, h is equal to negative 1 and k is equal to negative 4, right? Notice that it says minus h, so it's always the opposite inside the parentheses, okay? And then we'll figure out the rest in just a second. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to graph this, all right? There's other formulas that we could use. Once we know what the formula is for the vertex, in other words, if I know what the vertex is, the axis of symmetry, let me do a different color. The axis of symmetry is the x value of the vertex, because it goes right through the vertex. It's x equals whatever this is. So it's x equals negative 1. Remember that when you graph x equals negative 1 on the xy plane, it's a vertical line. So this is the xy plane, and if I were to graph this, it's just a straight up and down line at x equals negative 1. So there's other things I could do to find the x and y axis, but I'm really just going to graph it. So I'm just going to come in here and I can graph it exactly how it's written. Y equals, start my parentheses, x plus 1, close parentheses, raise it to the 2, minus 4. Now that's how you would graph it on the graphing calculator, but you can also use Desmos. So a lot of you guys have your Chromebooks, and you can just type in desmos.com, right? Or if you go to Mr. Adams' website and you type in calculators, you click on graphing calculator and there it goes. But I'm just going to type it in here. So it's x plus 1 squared minus 4. Now, what I like about Desmos, the things that I need to identify, I can identify by just clicking on them. They want to know the x and y intercept. So here's the y-intercept. I'm just going to click on it. Here's the x-intercept. Here's the other x-intercept. And this is the vertex. So, oops, now I got to click on them all again. So that's the x-intercept. That's the vertex. And that's the y-intercept. So I'm going to take a little snapshot of that. And we're going to copy and paste that onto our notes. And that way we can see what we're doing. So So then basically my x-intercepts where it crosses the x-axis, my x-intercepts are -3, 0. Y should equal 0 on all your x-intercepts, and 1, 0. Okay. My y-intercept. Oh, by the way, this is my line of symmetry, right? My line of symmetry occurs at x equals -1. So that's my x equals -1. We were asked to graph that or plot it. My y-intercept, I need a different color. We'll just use black. This is the y-intercept where it crosses the y-axis. And on the y-intercept, the x should be equal to 0, right? So x equals 0, -3. And the vertex is what I said it was, based on the formula. It's -1. Now, this is what I was talking about when I talk about the peak or valley. It's the minimum value for y, which is at the bottom of the valley. So think of that as like being a valley, the very absolute bottom of the valley, or the minimum y value. Okay? In other words, I'm never going to graph for this function -5 for y. -4 is the lowest y value. In fact, the range of this thing would be y is greater than or equal to -4. Okay? There any questions on this?